How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Well, it is episode number 26 of How About That Cigar. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I know, 26. Can you believe it?
Dude, it's
bonkers.
It's fantastic.
It's pretty cool. I mean, you know, we were just talking about the fact that our first podcast was disappeared into, the up into the heavens, never to be heard again. But we got our shit together and got some stuff figured out, and here we are on episode 26.
I know, and it's been a fantastic 26.
Absolutely.
I'm just having a blast with it.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching on Facebook Live. If you're looking at us right now, please take a few seconds and share it out to your favorite Facebook cigar groups before the Facebook fascists shut it all down. And if you are listening on the audio podcast, thanks so much for listening to us in the car or while you're working out or whatever it is you're doing while you listen to us. Thanks so much. We're available on all of the major podcast listening platforms. So thanks for taking a few minutes out of your time to listen to us. So Garrett, it's been kind of a busy couple weeks when it comes to some sort of one particular piece of nonsense in the cigar industry that I saw creep up recently was some of the Justice Warrior outrage, not Justice Warrior, the health nut whack job outrage about Nick Jonas being on the cover of Cigar Aficionado.
Right.
And that was actually a couple of weeks ago, but
yeah,
actually it's sort of died down by now, but we didn't talk about it last week.
That's true.
And I dig the fact that he's just sort of standing up to it and saying, you know what,
hey,
this is me.
Yep.
And I mean, he's a grown ass man. He's 26. And
I'm a grown ass man.
So he can, he can pretty much make his own decisions at this point. And, if his decision is to, I mean, because otherwise the dude is an absolute like health fiend. He works out like crazy. He doesn't eat anything other than, organic baby seal livers or something. I don't know what it is he eats, but
after clubbing them first.
But he's super healthy, and he lives a good life. He's got a beautiful wife, and yeah. I mean, more power to the guy. So
real quick, just want to give a shout out and thanks to Risty joining us from Germany.
Wow. Hey, Risty, thanks for we know a lot of the guys are out in Europe right now getting ready for Intertabac. So thanks to anybody who's over there and joining us while you are outside of the United States. Risty, thanks for hanging out with us.
Have a good show.
Yeah, well, and I've already seen some good progress for your brand out there, and we wish you nothing but the best, and all the brands that are out there. We hope you really make some good progress while you're out in the European market. So as we always talk about a little bit of Minnesota sports. Minnesota Twins are kind of, it seems like they're pulling things back together a little bit. They struggled for a while, but
as much as they can, they've had some more key injuries.
They've had more key injuries, but
killing me.
We have some key players back.
Yep.
We're ahead of the White Sox as we speak. They're playing just a few miles south of us here. And
we're what was it? Is the official number 6? 5.5?
The magic number is 8.
No, I know, but
we're 5.5 up.
5.5
as of the beginning of the game tonight. We're 5.5 up. Magic number is 8. So I think we're in very good shape as long as we, they continue to swing the bats well, and as long as, I'm just happy with the way they've been playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I agree.
So what about? No.
Nope.
Oh, nope. Come on. What's the other Minnesota team that's in season right now?
I don't want to talk about it.
They wear purple and they play football, I think it is. What are they called again, Garrett?
Princesses.
What is that?
Yeah.
The Minnesota Vikings lost to my beloved Green Bay Packers on Sunday. So I will say this. Yes, the Packers are 2-0, but those are two of the ugliest wins I've ever seen. But I am happy about the fact that their wins against two of the, well, maybe what was ranked as the number one defense going into the season, the Chicago Bears, and what I would say is probably a top 5 or top 7 defense in the Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It seems like the Vikings offense just couldn't put anything together.
It really couldn't. Kirk Cousins turned over the ball several times. Yeah, I wasn't able to watch the game. I listened to it.
Yeah.
I still have my DVR. That's probably not going to happen.
You're not gonna sit down and give any time to watching that stinker.
No.
So just briefly, what I'm seeing from Cousins, just as a football fan, I'm happy that the Packers beat him because that's my team. But just strictly as a football fan, he's holding on to the ball too long. So I don't know if it's nerves or if it's a
Still
training
thinks he's in
issue or what
Washington.
it is. But he's just holding on to the ball too long.
Yeah, he is.
But Dalvin Cook,
Oh
wow.
yeah.
I mean,
think
that kid is legit. And
He
if they can continue to keep the running game going as well as it has been, but figure out a way to teach Cousins how to be a quarterback, I think you've got something there.
I mean, potentially he's a 2,000 yard, season rusher.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, if we end up balancing out the pass and run game.
Yeah.
But it is frustrating.
And there have been in some other teams, there have been some big sort of season ending injuries already.
I know.
So Big Ben is out for the season with, what was it, an elbow?
Yeah, his elbow.
Yeah.
And then Drew Brees.
Yeah. What was his?
His a wrist.
Thumb.
That's what I said. Where did that voice come from? That was weird.
That voice came from, I don't know where it came from. I think it might have come from our special guest this week, ladies and gentlemen, from Cigar Hustler and a Cigar Hustlers podcast, all the way from the great state of Florida. Please welcome Mr. Mike Szczepankiewicz. How did I do?
You did damn good. That's the best I've heard before.
Would you say like 80%, 90%?
I was gonna go with like 90, almost maybe even 95. I mean, you were there.
Nice. Sorry, I'm trying to. There we go. I got the pictures right now. So Mike, welcome to How About That Cigar? How's it going this evening?
It's going well, man. I mean, I'm tired as hell, but working hard, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So I can't complain.
So tell everybody, let's start with the retail piece, because that's how I first, and I didn't get to know you at first, but I got to know your retail establishment at first, as an online buyer. Tell us a little bit about, you have the Cigar Hustler retail store.
Yep.
And before you got into that, tell us about kind of the field of work that you were in, and what kind of career path you were on before, life suddenly took a turn and took you in the direction of cigar retail.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a career path. I was just working hard. I owned a gas station with a couple other dudes, and that was a pain in the ass, man. A lot of hard work, and the payout really isn't great, especially when we try to do 24 hours. And anybody who owns a gas station, they deserve friggin' some type of an award, in my opinion. It's hard. Before that, I bartended for a long time, bar backed, at a place called Roy's down in South Florida, where I kind of learned pretty much everything about life. So
yeah,
that was pretty educational. I learned a lot of things. I learned, what drugs can do to people and how they look and stuff like that. And, you see the guys that come in just for happy hour that leave, the ones that the couples that are fighting, all the goods and the bad things of life are all usually at your local bar. And you can kind of get it's a very educational process for somebody that's very young. You can say, man, I don't want to do that. That looks like a fucking mistake, and kind of go from there, and and not have to walk down that path yourself. So I'm pretty fortunate to experience a lot of things, and I did have a lot of great people around me that worked there. So it was a great experience for me. I've always kind of had that mentality of working hard though, and kind of putting in the work every day.
Yeah. It is pretty amazing to see how the bar at the American pub is such a, I don't know, microcosm of kind of culture at large, because like you said, you're going to have the people who just show up for a couple drinks for happy hour, and then the people who sort of live there, and you get to see the good and the bad, and kind of everything else in between,
Yeah. A lot of drugs.
Yeah.
And I stayed away from all of it, which is kind of surprising. But
that's good though. That's good.
Worked out well for me.
Was that back like in your college days or in your post high school days or what?
I started working there when I was 15, man. I was bar backing.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So realistically, I go to high school. I'd get out of school around 2:40, 3 o'clock. I'd go work out, and then I'd go there, and then I'd work there till 1 or 2 in the morning. Get home around 3 a.m., wake up, go to school. So I've always kind of had that mentality of just getting 100% out of the day. I mean, I'm getting a little older now, so I tend to drag a little bit more ass when it comes later at night. But I still wake up trying to seize it. So it's pretty cool. I had a great time doing it. And I always had cash in my pocket when I was a kid, so it was awesome. I kind of did college. That was a joke. My associates came in the mail one day, and so I got that, which, I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't even know where that is. I don't, my thoughts on the educational system, unless you know what you want to do, it's kind of hard, it's been built at this point where it's encouraged, and, you force these kids into stuff that they don't want to do, and they get nothing done with it. So, a lot of guys and girls would be better off learning a trade and getting into something where they make a decent living instead of having $200,000 in debt.
100%.
Have a job or something that starts at 30,000-40,000 a year. Just doesn't make sense.
My oldest son is a senior in high school this year, and he's not really interested in college, and I said I'm fine with that. As long as you pull your weight and do your keep yourself on your own feet. You're not gonna, just be able to mooch off of me for the rest of your life. But as long as you pull your own weight and figure out your own stuff, then I'd rather him have that than not have, like you said, I'd rather him have, just a good life than $200,000 worth of student debt. And the fact is, not everybody needs college. So
Well, and sure. I think there is this conversation is happening all over, and not only are we going to have some kind of I think we're going to have a huge dive in college numbers over the next 10 years. Because of this particular thing where you can't just go to college and spend, $15,000 and up for, let's see what I might like and get an education in whatever.
Sure.
That just doesn't
100%.
work.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So Mike, how did you, what led you into the cigar retail business? Did you start working at another retail establishment, or did you get into the ownership and the management game right away?
My brother's my partner, and we always say that the cigar industry kind of chose us. We didn't choose it. We sold the gas station. My hair started to grow back. The gray started to fall off. It was amazing. And there was this vacant building across the street, or at least close to it. Like, hey, we should just do something over there. So we're like, let's get a tattoo parlor going.
Okay.
And we'll sell glass. It'll be awesome. Lots of money. So go in, and at that point, this was 9 years ago, the city of Deltona wasn't too happy about tattoos, so they wouldn't let you open it. And unbeknownst to us, like a few years prior to that, it was a cigar store that had gone under. So people would walk in and they're like, hey, you got any cigars? So we started off with like a little stand-up humidor, and just started building it. It's like, literally one box at a time. And we didn't have a lot of money to start the business. And we just kept going. First couple of years, there was no paychecks. My brother actually handled the majority of it at that point because, I had to make some money. So I actually went back down to South Florida and would come up every week, either drive or fly or whatever the case may be. You're talking right around, I guess around that time was right when the economy crashed and we just kind of started getting into it. So we had like a PlayStation there. It was a big fucking joke. The place was a mess.
Yeah.
But that's how it kind of began. People started coming in, and then you start making $30 a day, and then you start making $60 a day, and you're like, hey, there might be something to this, and you just keep building and building and building, and then one day I said to my brother, hey, let's build an online site, and he told me I was crazy and out of my mind, and I did it anyways. I'm like, hold my beer, challenge accepted. Right. So built that. And then I started kind of meeting people via social media, and that was really what kind of blew us up and really created some exposure for us. So, you back in the day, Facebook, the original Facebook group was Cats, right? And I was like one of the first 4 people to join that group, which is pretty cool. Vaughn Boyd was one of the other ones from Deadwood Tobacco.
Yeah.
And just kind of met people, got in contact with people, and then that group kind of went sideways. I don't really go there anymore, but it provided a great opportunity for me to meet a lot of people. Then Instagram was just kind of new. I'm like, hey, there might be something to this, and just started liking comments and meeting people and continuing to go and go and go. And it just started blowing up, just kept being responsive to people, and they started respecting my opinions on stuff and keep my ear to the ground on what was going on in the industry, and worked out really well.
Yeah.
Awesome. And when you started that whole retail thing, what was your experience with cigars at that point? Nothing.
I never
even as a consumer?
No. The first cigar I smoked, I think, was a Cuba Cuba. I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool.
Like 99% of other cigar smokers.
So I was like, this is pretty cool. I can get into this. And then I smoked a Casa Magna like right after that, and I died. I vomited. I couldn't get my head up. But I stuck with it, and that's all that matters, So I just kept going, and I kept educating myself, learning more and more about the product. Learned who to fuck with, who not to fuck with, and kind of see where people are making tobacco, where they're getting their cigars from. What's high quality, what's low quality, what's high quantity, what's low quantity, who really cares about their products.
Yeah.
And kind of went from there, So it's been, we're about to go on our 10th year here, and so far so good,
Yeah. So moving into, as you decided to start up your own, gradually you built up cigar relationships in the business. Obviously you've got your customer base, but then you've also got the sales reps, you've got the brand owners, even company owners that you get to know gradually over time, whether it's them coming to your store to visit you or you going to the trade show. So what was the time, what was the first year that you went to IPCPR?
It was probably seven or 8 years ago when we, like a year or two into the business.
Yeah.
And that day, the first IPCPR show, you're never prepared for that. You walk in, you're just like,
yeah,
oh my God, what is this? It's just gigantic. It's a lot. It's like drinking from a fire hose. You're just taking in a lot of information and you don't know really what to get from it. And it's absolutely amazing. Now 7 or 8 years into it, you know where everybody is, what the booths look like. Even when they change them a little bit, they're like, oh, that's cool. It's a different look and a different mindset, especially being on the back end of it and kind of building your own product and, educating people on your stuff. Yeah. So it's really cool. I mean, I love going to the show. You know, I have a good time there. It's really cool to kind of hang out with everybody at the same time.
Yeah.
Did you have that moment where you can pick out that was the, all right, I'm all in moment?
You know, no, I mean, to be honest, I haven't done anything that I didn't put 100% into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there have been a lot of things in my life, but when it comes to a project of some sort, even if it fails, I still put 100% into it. You know, and you couldn't tell if this tiny little retail shop in Deltona would be successful or not come year 1, year 2. You saw that it had potential, but you didn't know what that potential was. Was it going to be enough to, you know, to provide for 2 families? Was it enough to provide for one single guy, you know, that would be a bachelor for the rest of his life? I mean, you know, those are 2 different equations. So,
yep.
You know, and if you were to ask me if I'm content where it's at, the answer is no. You know, we have a meeting every week where we talk about our goals with our employees, what we're looking at, what we need to be doing differently. I mean, and it could be something simple, whether it be, you know, the vacuum should at the end of the night, somebody should put the vacuum at the front door. That way they can vacuum really quick when they come in. So that's just knocked right out. Or, you know, every little step of efficiency is important, as well as what should we be doing as far as sales and sale incentives. You know, there's so many different dynamics there, you know. Eventually we went beer and wine as well because we felt that would help complement it, you know, and that would kind of add on to it. So now we have a bunch of craft beer there, and I want to go full liquor because I think that would be even more beneficial to our cigar consumers.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I wish
we could do
up here in Minnesota. We can't do that. In Minnesota, you can't.
It's a lawless swamp down here in Florida. Let me tell you.
I mean, and I totally dig that because up here, you know, you can't. You have to if you know some guys. If you have a good relationship with a shop owner, and I'm not going to get any shop owners in trouble. I'm not mentioning any names. I'm saying this is a hypothetical.
Right.
If a guy's going to, you know, bring a bottle into a shop, you got to be all stealthy about it, you know, just to have a nice, you know, 2 fingers glass of scotch or bourbon with your, you know, with your cigars. I mean, there's some private lounges, membership only lounges that it's all good. But as far as retail, forget about it. So if you guys can add, you know, continue, like you said, adding on craft beer, add on some, you know, full liquor, I say do it because it really does. Like you said, it adds to that experience.
Right. And that's what we're kind of all about.
So Garrett and I fired up. These are from I think it was the original release in 2015, if I have the year right. These are the Postania Broadleaf, the Bellicoso. So Mike, talk to us about the Postania brand, how you started it, and if that was sort of something from the very beginning that you said, hey, you know, if we're going to get more into the premium cigar end of things, you know, if Postania was always kind of in your mind, or if it was something that developed over time.
It definitely developed over time. When we started, you know, and kind of got into social media, things were going really well. And we started doing really well with some of these bigger brand names, some of these bigger manufacturers, to a point where other retailers took notice and they had a problem with it. And because they had a problem with it, all of a sudden we got restricted from certain products, or our inventory, or, you know, what we could buy became less. So when we caught wind of that, it took forever to figure it out. But when we caught wind of it, we're like, well, we'll just make something that they can't touch. And at that point, we were already kind of well versed with the Romacraft guys. You know, those guys are my family, Skip and Michael and Esteban. And I went down there, and this was when they weren't at capacity. You know, they weren't at the monster that they are now. So when I approached Skip and said, hey, I want to make a cigar, he's like, okay, sure, no problem. So we just kind of went down there, you know, laid all the tobacco out, got to really experience it, taste all of it, make some blends right there on the spot, screw those up. He had explained to me where I screwed up, and refined it until we had something that was, in my opinion, amazing.
Yeah. And which one of those blends was the first? Was it Broadleaf or Habano?
They're blended at the same time. The Habano and the Broadleaf were built. I blended the Habano. My brother blended the Broadleaf, which is kind of funny because I tend to smoke a lot bolder stuff, and he tends to smoke, you know, more of a a little bit, I wouldn't say mild, but stuff that's a little more smoother, a little more complex.
Yeah.
Maybe not as rough and overbearing. So I blended the Habano. I said, mine's amazing. My brother blended the broadleaf. He goes, mine's amazing. And I'm like, okay. So we decided to make little sampler packs with 2 of each. And we had everybody vote which one they thought was better. I couldn't say that I made the blend because, I'm more of the social media face than my brother is. So we just left it alone. And the Habano had won, but it was by a small margin. So at that point, we were like, okay, well, I mean, if lightning has struck twice, then we obviously need to make this work and figure out how we're going to release both of these products in the future.
Yeah. And was that, did I have the year right? Was it 2015 that those released?
I mean, that sounds accurate. I honestly, I have no idea.
Okay.
I didn't know. Like my brother handles all the accounting, all the documenting and, all those things. And, I honestly don't look at, 9 years right now, and we're approaching 10. I was having a conversation with Bob Moore over at Hogshead today, and he's like, yeah, it's about to be your 10th year. It's like, man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You just brought it to my attention. So, I honestly couldn't tell you the date, but yeah, it sounds close. It sounds about right, to me. So,
well, I remember when I, because this particular box, I actually didn't buy OG. I bought these on the secondary market about 2 years ago.
No kidding.
Just somebody that I knew posted on a group and said, hey, I've got this box up for sale. And I hit it right away because I had already bought a sampler from your, before I even had met you, I bought a sampler from your retail site just because I saw that I saw some movement with the brand and I thought, oh, okay, I'll try these. And I bought a sampler on the website and said, yeah, these are pretty good. And then, like I said, 2 years ago, I think it was, a friend of mine posted this box for sale. I said, yeah, I'll take those right now, please. Thank you very much. And he had the date written on there of August 2015.
Yeah.
So I assume that's the date that he bought them.
Right. Yeah. So that's definitely got to be original batch, for sure.
So beyond, would you call the Postania broadleaf and the Habano, that's your core lines. And then you've also got the SBC.
Yep.
Talk to us about the SBC lines.
So the SBC blend comes out every other year. It's called SBC, which stands for Surrounded by Champions. I'm a big believer in acknowledging the people around you. And the Roma guys, the Nika Sueño family, they put in a lot of work for me. I couldn't tell you what's great tobacco and what's shit tobacco. I couldn't identify things at a Pilon, and I'm not going to be the guy that's going to tell you that I have that ability. Consistently, they blend the cigars accurately every time. I don't have to worry about anything, and I'm really fortunate to be working with those guys. So not only that on the factory end, but Michael Rosales on the sales end has really kind of written the blueprint how to operate without having a sales force, without having brokers, without having an in-house team. So those guys have always been great to us, and I always want to show my appreciation to them whenever it's possible. So that was kind of the birth of the SBC.
And the this year in 2019, we were not at the IPCPR, but we followed all our friends in the other cigar media groups that put their shows together, and we saw that the War Bear was a new release from you guys this year. So tell us about the concept behind the War Bear itself, and then what the blend is comprised of. So,
to be honest, a lot of my great ideas aren't really my great ideas. I just kind of listen to the people around me, and a lot of them have some great ideas, So the War Bear was actually mentioned. That name was mentioned to me when Postani was originally created by my employee John. He's been our head manager. He runs the store at Cigar Hustler, and he's like, "Oh, you should do the War Bear." I'm like, "What the hell's that?" So I look it up, and the story is amazing. It's about a bear that was bought at a train station during World War II, and he became a soldier. So the reason why he became a soldier is because the Polish army came in and said, hey, no more pets. You're not allowed to have any pets with the squad. So they just made him a soldier. So he'd drink beer and smoke cigarettes and be with the troops. And when the Poles were under fire and they needed ammunition, the bear was running ammunition to soldiers that wouldn't have received it otherwise. So he's responsible for saving lives. So it was kind of a big deal. I wanted to make, when he had told me that, I wanted to make a cigar with that name, which is usually kind of backwards because normally we make the cigar before we have the name. And then I just reached out to the guys at the factory and said, hey, this is the concept of my blend. This is kind of what I'm thinking. And Skip kind of put his finishing touches on it for the whole release. But, again, same scenario. It was really easy for me because of who I get to work with, right? Yeah. They don't give you the A, B, C, or D. I say, hey, let's do this tobacco. Let's do this tobacco. Let's do this tobacco. Let's do this with the barber pole. I think that this will work really well.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot easier when you have good tobacco, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. So the barber pole, the two different wrapper leaves. What are the wrapper leaves?
It's an Ecuadorian Habano and a San Andreas.
Okay. So, and it's from what I've seen in the pictures, it's the Habano that's on there is a darker, heavier Habano. I mean, is it more toward the pushing into the realm of like the same Habano that they use on the Aquitaine, where it's that robust, more Ligero?
Yeah, it's the same wrapper.
It is, okay. Sure.
I mean, a lot of the components that are in the factory are the same components that I use. It's just a different mix and blend and different combination of things. Yeah. So,
and just the name itself, the Postanya, what does that word mean? What is the meaning behind that?
So it means uprising. I felt that it was appropriate and it really kind of fit us and what we were doing and why the brand was created. So, we're just a small retail shop, and we're not going to take anybody's shit. So we're going to make our own stuff and kind of go from there. And that was kind of who they were back in World War II. There was an uprising and, these guys were fighting against, German tanks and shit. And all they had was like rocks.
Yeah.
The majority of them died. So, but they still fought. So it really kind of felt right for us. It was just a good fit.
And this was even after occupation. I mean, they were one of the first countries to get run on. And
Poland was obliterated.
Yeah.
Towns were just gone.
Yeah. So shifting gears a little bit, you also have the Cigar Hustlers podcast.
Yes.
And I am a fan. I listen to pretty much every episode.
Oh, awesome.
And like legit. No, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. It's legit. I like what you guys are doing because you make me laugh.
Thanks.
And you talk about all kinds of different subjects besides just cigars. And so you do that together with Mike Palmer. Yeah. How did you get to know Mike, and where did the concept come from? When did you guys sit down and say, let's do there's only like 75,000 different cigar podcasts out there, so we should definitely do another one. Because I had so many people when I said, I'm going to do a cigar podcast, they said, are you a moron? There's like 50,000 cigar podcasts, and most of them last like 6 weeks.
Right.
So where did you guys come up with the concept for that?
Well, I mean, first of all, Mike Palmer is bar none greatest producer. Works his ass off, for nothing. Puts in all the time. Always thinks of his friends before anybody else. Always goes out of his way for everybody. He's one of the most thoughtful people I've ever met. So I approached Mike and I said, hey, I want to make a podcast and I want to do it with you. And he was in. He was like, all right, cool, done. Let's do this. So he just kind of took over and we just started doing it. What's really remarkable is we really don't talk about cigars that much.
Yeah.
we talk about industry people. We talk about stuff that's going on in the industry. We kind of cover a wide spectrum. We interview people, but I don't want to know about their cigar. That's every other podcast. That's every other interviewee. I want to know cool ass stories and their experiences in life and things that made them who they are. Like those are the fascinating points for us. And, we've kind of learned that, Mike and I do really well together. So when it can just be him and I bullshitting and we have a good time. What's kind of funny is that there are times where I'll walk into the store or he'll walk into the store and we won't talk. we can't talk until the mic's in front of us. So that's pretty funny. He puts a lot of time into it. He puts a lot of effort into it. You know, he's got his sheets and you know, I mean, we had balloons dropping on us. You know, the guy goes nuts. So, you know,
how did you guys? So does he work at the retail store? Is he just a buddy of yours? How did that?
Mike has the ability to do everything at the store. He can run the register. He knows where everything is. If you can't find anything, hey, Mike, where's this? He knows where it is.
Okay.
He came in, you know, I met him on Facebook. He came in one day and, you know, he stuck around. So, you know, we hit it off really well. Again, he's one of those guys that's just, you know, puts everybody else first, you know, and that's a rare commodity in this day and age. So the more and more we got to know him, you know, he eventually got a key. You know, he got his own alarm code. He has his own access. He can do whatever the hell he wants. You know.
Yeah.
There are a couple of stipulations that he's built some rules. You know, if cigars are lingering in the office that were samples or something that was given to me after X amount of days, that he considers them his, and that's totally fine. You know, I feel like that's the least I can do. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great friend. You know, so. We have a blast together, and you know, he interrupts me every time, and people enjoy that. And you know,
I dig the fact that you guys have this kind of good cop, bad cop thing going on. And so when you got started, I know for Garrett and I, when we got started, and we talked a little bit about this before we went live, that you know that you learn shit as you're going along. It's like, oh man, this microphone doesn't work, or this camera angle sucks, or this whatever. And you just have some things that would be considered by anybody who's been in the podcast game for a while just kind of a joke. But where did you guys see the most the opportunities to, like, okay, we gotta figure this piece out before we go to the next episode or whatever it is, you know, where you said, okay, this thing doesn't work, so let's change it. Definitely number one priority before episode next.
I mean, everything is always kind of built up from it, right? You launch your framework, and we had this little snowball fucking mic cone that we put in the middle of the table that was absolutely atrocious. And episode 1 is still there because we're not going to hide it, right?
Yeah, we're the same way. Episode 1 is still there. We're
just going to let it exist. So, you know, when we heard it, we're like, this is terrible. And then we went to Mike's, and then we got a soundboard, and you know, we didn't have a computer, so we used my old Mac computer, which he complains about every day. Because
is that the Macintosh from 1982?
That's the one. So you know, then we said, hey, you know, well, there's a whole other audience on YouTube that we're not giving them access to. So then we bought a camera, you know, and it's just slowly built. And now it's like, wow, well, these are. All these things are becoming more and more expensive. So what can we do that'll keep us and, you know, still let our opinions be free without, and allow some revenue to come in to kind of offset some of those costs. So we launched our own Patreon, which has its own secret episodes, its own cutthroat kind of reviews, just all kinds of raw material.
Yeah.
Which, you know, we haven't reaped from it yet, but it's what we just started. It's our next level thing. So, you know, we have a handful of guys that are on there, and you know, they've been supporters of the show for a long time, and you know, they're down. So, I always urge them to give me feedback and, you know, let me know what they want to hear or see or anything like that. We tried to do a video on the Patreon, but apparently that's a whole other friggin' process. So, you know, we're learning as we go. We're having a great time doing it. So, you know, sometimes the hard part is doing it every week, right? You know, you got to show up.
You know, that too,
right? Yeah. And my schedule's all over the place. His schedule's all over the place, but we still find the time. We still make it, you know, so.
And that's one of the things that we learned, and that I got some advice from, you know, some other guys who are, you know, doing cigar media for a long time, is that the number one thing is consistency. Because if they expect you to be there, like tonight, for example, just to throw something out there, tonight, you know, 8:30 Central Time, the show goes live, and if you're not there,
The show goes live.
If you're not there at 8:30 Central Time, then the people who are used to you being there, they're going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want them to go away. I want to have something for them to, laugh at and listen to and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And that was one of the things that I said, okay, because full disclosure, the last few days, I felt like pure garbage. I've been in and out of a couple doctors, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, we got to go on. Because we got a show to do, and there's, it's not like, no, we don't have legions of followers. This is not, this is not the Backstreet Boys. We don't have, all these people waiting in line to buy tickets, but there's still, honestly, even if there's only a half dozen guys who know that this show is going to be on Tuesday nights, I'm going to be there.
You went
right.
with
That's what it takes
for that analogy.
I did go with Backstreet Boys for the analogy.
Okay.
You got a problem with
it, man? Backstreet's back. All right. There you go. Let's do this.
Would you prefer NSYNC? Or Dixie Chicks?
I feel like if you went like New Kids on the Block, that would have been
Well, I am of the New Kids on the Block generation.
There you go.
I'm old enough for that, but they were never really my jam.
Yeah. No.
So out of all the guests that you've had, whether it was, do you do remote guests or only people who are live in the?
No. So that's always a topic of debate. I don't, for us, our format, I don't believe in it. We have a shop, we represent a lot of these brands, and, if you're not worth our time, that's cool. You're not going on the show. I'm not going to video you in. That's just not our format. Right.
Yeah, totally.
So, I don't believe in it. I like being person to person.
When we going to Florida?
Yeah. You guys come in. You got an open invitation. Come on anytime.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Is tomorrow good? No.
Sure. Be a hell of a flight for you.
So of all the the people that you've had in studio, that you've interviewed, that you've had a chance to talk to, and there have been some short interviews, there have been some long interviews, but man, there's some really cool. That's one of the things about the cigar business is there's some really cool people that have so many varied stories. I mean, there's people from literally every walk of life you can think of, from every with stories that would just curl your hair. It's crazy. And of all the people you've had in studio, tell us about some of the just surprises and cool moments and just stories that you never expected to hear from people.
Okay. Well, for me, the best person that I've had on was obviously Skip. He's a really close friend of mine, and I know a lot about him. And there's a lot of things that are he's on a lot of podcasts, he's on a lot of interviews, but he's never discussed a lot of those things, right?
Exactly.
A lot of the shit that you get, that when you hang out 2 a.m., 3 a.m. at his house, or, you're at a store and, I mean, I'm tired as all shit. I usually fall asleep on them, but, I still get a lot of the majority of the good stories. So, it was awesome for me to kind of have that platform with him and kind of let him go his own direction and talk about whatever he wanted to talk about. I mean, there were some stories that I felt that he left out that I'd like to get out of him at a later date, but we'll see where that goes. So for me, that was a big deal. I think one of the other crazy ones that always kind of pops in my head was having Hiroshi, Romania. That was fucking amazing. He'd never done it before. We were the first podcast for him. So he knew that he was at the top when he came in and started, and I got to ask him, could he kick Spencer Drake's ass? And he said, oh yeah, he'd kick his ass. I thought that was amazing. And just kind of hearing his story and his life. I mean, the whole Cuban experience is totally different than what anybody else experiences. And, as long as you stay out of the politics, you can get more of the raw information and how somebody like that lives down there, or, to some degree, goes out and comes to the United States. I mean, that was a pretty amazing one for me. I mean, dude, Caldwell had a great one too. We talked about how he went, to to like Libya or some shit, and he lost his global pass. Like I knew that story, so I wanted to pull that out of him.
Yeah.
Just hanging out with him one day, you know. So there are a lot of fascinating stories. There are a lot of humble stories too. I mean, Pete Hernandez just came on, and as much of a slapdick he is, I love the guy to death. And he's a rep for our area, and how he got into the industry is one of the saddest fucking stories I've ever heard in my life. And you would never know that if you didn't talk to Pete and learn that about him. So, and I've seen that guy grow, and he's been an amazing person. I mean, John Carney's amazing, from LFD. I mean, shit, dude. I could go on and on about the people we interview.
So we got 9:15 for the first slapdick sighting. 9:15 before 9:15. Somebody said slapdick.
Perfect.
That's good. That's good. I'll be honest with you. I had already met Skip a couple times. I had a couple brief conversations with him, and then had a little bit of a longer conversation at one of his private parties at IPCPR maybe 3 years ago. But I never knew his story, and listening to the 3 episodes that you guys split his interview up into. And I swear I've listened to those episodes multiple times just because it's almost unbelievable to hear his story. And you think there's no way this is real.
Right.
But then you listen to it again and again, and you can hear in his voice, like, wow, it's just really incredible.
Yeah.
To hear his story, and cool to see what because the fact is it would have taken no effort whatsoever for him to just become another statistic.
Right. For sure.
And I love stories like that, regardless of whether it's cigars or whatever the hell it is. I just love stories like that. And it's cool to be able to hear that on your podcast. So, and I know and I can identify with it because I know you guys had some tech issues while you're recording that. And it's like, you had to stop and start and things like that. But I'm glad that you guys hung with it and split that into 3 episodes, because it's been, cool to get to hear his story. And, even honestly, even a couple of the episodes where you and Mike just sit there and talk, I just dig it. It's, it's cool. It makes me laugh, and it's nice to, just kind of get away from the everyday of whether it's my job or whatever it is. And
thanks, man.
I know that you, at least I assume that just because you have things other going on in your life other than just cigars, obviously everybody's got their life outside, whether it's family or other obligations and things like that, or time spent doing whatever it is. Do you listen to other non-cigar related podcasts outside of this? And if you do, what are some of those podcasts that you are into?
I have a little bit in the past, but none of them ever really stuck, to be honest. None of them really come to mind. I mean, I like Gary Vee stuff. I listen to him a little bit. I'm all about, refining my game and kind of getting better at it. So, a lot of, life guidance, coaching, or whatever the case may be, I've always been kind of attracted to that. But it's never really resonated for me, as far as, hey, I'm going to listen to this podcast. Right. I listen to a lot of audibles. I listen to a lot of books.
Okay.
I've learned to listen to them at a high speed, which is remarkable. That's kind of new for me.
Yeah, I just learned about that. I shit you not, I just learned about that, and I've started doing that, and it's great, because before it was like I can't devote a week of my life to this book. Right. And now I'm like, okay, I can do it in 3 days.
Right.
So
I can throw that in the car, usually to and from work. That makes a big deal. Tim did mention Hector Alfonso. I definitely need to mention him too, and Jack Toronto. Those 2 guys are amazing when it comes to interviews as well, especially if you get them together. But yeah, so as far as podcasting stuff, I don't really listen to it too much. I also do real estate, so I was listening to Brian Buffini stuff for a while. He's a pretty cool guy. More inspiring, life stuff, and just you learn to show gratitude. That type of thing was definitely more of a, was what I always gravitated towards. But it never, I could never say, hey, I can't wait till the next episode to come out. I'll listen to myself now, even though I said I never would, just to kind of refine and make sure that we're doing something right, or see where we can get better. I'll put that on sometimes in the background and listen to it when I'm working at the shop.
Yeah.
But other than that,
isn't that weird? By the way, I do the same thing, and I hate doing it, but I listen to it just to see if there was something that I missed, that because I try to do. I don't do a ton, but I do a little bit of editing just to make sure there's no really weird or garbled audio or anything in there. I can clip that out of there. But then to go back and listen to it later, it's weird, but it does help because I have actually caught a few things here and there. Have you noticed that?
And you learn how to speak better, right? Yeah. Or there's no ums, and you're not. You're more comfortable in front of the camera. You're more comfortable in front of a mic. Those things are important when you're doing podcasting and stuff.
Legit.
So,
that legit, Matt.
Legit. Yeah. Last week, shit. I was on a legit kick last week. For some reason, I used the word legit like 20 times in 2 minutes. It was sick.
I was about ready to get a legit jar, and every time he said legit, he had to put in some cash. Question for you, legit. So Cigars started as a business venture for you.
Yeah.
When did it become a culture that you felt that you were a part of more than just in the business?
Well, I mean, for one, I just kind of think that every business that I've been into, I usually get immersed in. And the more you try and understand something, the more it becomes part of your life, right? So as I was kind of going along in social media and meeting more people, it just kind of grew on me more and more and more. So the more cigars you smoke, the more opportunities you kind of see to meet people and get different walks of life, which is unbelievable in this industry. It's bar none in comparison to any industry, period,
Yeah.
Amen.
So, I know people from all over the spectrum, all over the world, which is amazing. People that are local that are from all walks of life, that's fascinating. So, when you see that opportunity exists, I don't know how you can't not want to learn more and get involved in that type of an industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. So I know that I just in listening to one of your episodes, I know you guys got some letters from the Bang Energy.
Yeah.
And I shit you not, today before I was on my way home from a doctor, and I was going to stop at a shop and pick up some Bang Energy drink, and they didn't have any on the shelf, and I was like, I got to get home. So I just came home, and I know there are a few places around here that carry it, but
yeah.
So and I know you're a big fan, and
I am.
But they like kind of went after you a little bit. So what happened with the Bang Energy drink people?
So here's the deal with Cigar Hustlers podcast. I don't want a sponsor that's going to dictate anything that, I get to say. I'm not that guy. I want total control over whatever the hell I got to say. And you may like it, you may not. It is what it is. So Mr. Palmer worked really hard, and he met the Associated Bang, and they became like a sponsor where they sent him free product and stuff like that. And we had mentioned the names or whatever. He would mention the names. I mean, we mentioned them anyways because we drink them all the time, right?
Yeah.
But then this cake one came out, and it's fucking horrible. It's absolutely atrocious.
They got a flavor called cake.
Yeah, it's called confetti cake or birthday cake or something like that, and it tastes like liquid birthday cake. It is super sweet.
Oh,
0 calories, super sweet. I don't know how they did it. It's amazing that they did it. It tastes like diabetes is exactly what I said. So we got
they had an issue with that comment.
Yeah, apparently they watched the show. So they didn't like that. They weren't too happy with that statement, and Mr. Palmer no longer gets Bang in the mail. So it's what it is, I guess.
Oh man, it's funny because there was a time when if you were to use the phrase "he no longer gets Bang in the mail," it doesn't have anything to do with energy drink,
right? But here we are, right?
Mike, what are you smoking? I didn't even ask you what you're smoking tonight.
I'm having a Postania broadleaf. I just took the band off of it.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm fortunate enough to steal the displays from the booth at the show, and they come back home with me, and they had a high level of abuse, but it isn't something that I would give to somebody, but I'm not about to let it go to waste. So I keep them here and I smoke them. So
yeah. If it still smokes, smoke it.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a question that popped into my head when I was writing up notes for the show. So the three big things, I mean, you've got a family, you've got your life outside of all this. But out of cigar retail, the Cigar Hustler retail shop, and the Cigar Hustlers podcast, and the brand Postania, if you were forced to choose only one of those three things to do for the rest of your life, and you had to let the other two go, regardless of income, let's say that
I do the podcast.
Oh, is that the one? That's the podcast?
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's the most fun.
Is that so? That's the thing that gives you like the most. It gives you the most joy, the best outlet.
You know what it is like I just like being myself. I like being open and kind of being a channel, and for me, it's just totally wide open. There's no obligation. There's no sale. There's no work at all. Right. Yeah. Zero work as far as I'm concerned in the podcast. Now, Mike's going to tell you a totally different thing. I mean, it's a lot of work for Mike. He's got to do a lot of things for it. But for me, I get to sit down, we talk about things. I get to be brutally honest. I piss off people. It is what it is. I don't mean to upset people. It's just it's just facts, bro, and
here's what I've learned over, and this is going to sound like some old man,
back in my day,
get off my lawn. But it doesn't matter what you say. You could say anything, and there's going to be some person somewhere in the world, or some group somewhere in the world, that's going to get pissed off about it. So in the end, you might as well just talk. And sometimes you're going to say stupid shit, and other times you're going to say the right thing. And you learn from saying the stupid shit, so you don't say the stupid shit anymore, and you learn from saying the right thing, and you just get on with it.
I mean, I just kind of learned a long time ago to always be honest and not really give a shit about people's opinions that don't matter to me. There are people that listen to the show that if they said, hey, I think that you messed up here, I have some concerns, I would listen to. And I would take that in and I, reflect on it and do some self-awareness. But for the most part, if I piss somebody off, I piss somebody off. It doesn't upset me at all.
Yeah, it's inevitable. I mean, it's going to happen.
I think we should turn suit camp into a verb.
Yeah, Tim's our friend. I don't know if you've met Tim, but Tim Sootcamp is a friend of ours. He's a favorite cigar community internet troll, and he loves.
He's like a professional troll.
And he's got some pretty good ones on there. This one's kind of interesting to me, just because it makes me laugh. Tom Minty says, Warbear paired with Black Cherry Vanilla Bang cigar really brings out the Hall's lozenge flavor in the bang.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
No, I can't say that I don't know if I've had the Black Cherry Vanilla. But hey, if you want to pair it, have at it, man. Work for you. Like lozenges, enjoy. I'm glad I could help.
Oh man.
So you're not into a whole lot of podcasts outside of your sphere, but how about streaming shows? What are you streaming right now?
Like on TV and stuff?
Yeah, like Netflix or Amazon Hulu. Prime. Are you like binge watching anything late at night?
I mean, not really. There are a couple shows that I like, but I'm not really dedicated to any of that shit. The whole Game of Thrones ending really, really pissed me off. So like, I don't want to commit to anything for that type of, where it just totally dies at the end. I like Peaky Blinders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great show.
That's badass. Fantastic. I enjoy Billions. Bobby Axelrod's awesome, but I didn't get to, I haven't finished the last season.
I haven't seen it.
That's an amazing show. That's.
And I never saw Game of Thrones, but I'm not.
Don't waste your time.
It's not because I have objections to it. I just haven't gotten around to it. So
skip it. skip it.
For me, Breaking Bad was like an all-time high. I think Breaking Bad was one of the best shows, maybe the best show of all time. But I just haven't gotten into a lot of stuff lately. Who said that?
Tom Folks.
Porn. Well,
yep.
I mean, hey,
you do you.
You do you.
Yeah.
And
he does.
Don't do
I mean, so here's the reality of my day, right? I wake up, and, drop my kid off at school. I go to the gym. I work out for 3 hours. Come to the shop, handle retail, handle wholesale, handle podcast, right? Come home, spend a little bit of time with my kids, and then I have a book that I'll read usually in the evening, or whatever my wife wants to watch. I'll just sit with her and I'll have my computer in front of me and do some more work. So I'm just not like, I really need to watch this. I'm just not. Yeah. I used to be built that way. It's just that my life is so consumed with everything else that it's just kind of slowly dissolved and gone away, Yeah,
100%.
I don't know if either of you guys, your wives have gotten into Big Brother.
No, thank God.
Oh, dude,
Amy doesn't like that.
Well, and Jill doesn't normally either, but for whatever reason, everybody at work is watching this Big Brother thing. They've got the thing.
I've never seen it.
Water cooler talk,
dude. Okay, so
they're at the office. Somebody's talking about it, and then at the water cooler.
Yeah. And next thing I'm writing notes, and a couple weeks into the show, I'm like, Jill, do you think Mickey's gonna get house? What?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
I know.
Well, the one so my wife's like guilty pleasure show is The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. She can't stop. It's one of those shows that the next season is getting ready to come on, and she says to herself, she says to me, I'm not going to watch it this year. I'm not going to watch it this year. And it's inevitable. She watches it when it comes on. There's no avoiding it. It's just like, she says to me every year, I'm not going to watch it this year. And I say, okay, all right. And I just know. I know that as soon as it premieres, boom, it's right there on the TV.
Everybody do yourself a favor. And later tonight, just search on YouTube for James Corden Bachelorette Pennywise.
Bachelorette, like the clown from It?
Yeah, he plays Pennywise in a Bachelorette spoof that is amazing.
I gotta watch that.
Yep, it's good times.
Very cool.
Nice. So we'll shift really quick, Mike. We're gonna shift it. We do every week on the podcast. We do a thing called Useless Fact of the Week. So I'm gonna talk about this week. Mike, do you know what the most common cause of power outages is in the United States every year?
I don't know. I mean, I'm in Florida. Hurricanes?
No. Garrett, do you know what it is?
I cheated on accident.
He peeked at my notes, jackass.
I know.
So the most common.
Not paying your bill. It's probably the most common. You got to pay the.
That's probably number 2.
Yeah.
The most common is squirrels.
Squirrels.
Yeah. So the American Public Power Association says squirrels are the most frequent cause. And they even, I can't believe this is probably tax money that's paying for this too. They developed a data tracker called the Squirrel Index. That's a real thing, and we paid for it. That analyzes patterns timing squirrels' impact on electrical power grids. Peak times for squirrel attacks are from May to June. Squirrels cause problems by tunneling, chewing through electrical insulation, becoming a current path between electrical conductors. Frankly, and that was from the National Security Agency. So the NSA, we're paying for all that just to figure out that squirrels are the number one cause of power outages.
Well, it's real common. I have a lot of concerns. So,
You have a lot of concerns about squirrels or just about the
fact I can't stand them. So I'm glad that they did that research.
Well, if any squirrel gets destroyed and turned to ash just by chewing on a power cable, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I'd like to see the video.
And their fluffy tails.
I could just see it like the old cartoons of the cigar going, burning down in like 2 seconds.
Yep.
So this week, what do we have for Numero de los Muertos?
Mike, every week I give a number, and it has to do with the dead. And this week, the number is 50 billion.
What?
A day.
50. Okay. Well, it's not people.
50 billion a day.
So 50 billion somethings are killed every day.
It's squirrels by the electricity. 50 billion.
I wish.
It's an epidemic.
If only that was.
We're
If only that was true.
Peter is crying right now.
50 billion of these are killed every year.
Every day.
Every day. Every day?
Every.
It better be mosquitoes.
Nope.
All right, I need another hint.
Over that number. I mean, like that's a lot of tallying. Is there an abacus involved? I mean, what the hell's going on here? 50 billion.
Yep.
This has got to. I think Wikipedia is involved.
There's like a network of abaci.
Abaci, is that?
Oh, plural form.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
Yep.
So I got to get another hint.
All right. Well, I'll say this: between the two of us, 100 billion die per day.
This is going to get really awkward, but is it
like germs or some shit? Bacteria?
It's not. Well, sperm is part of the equation.
It's always part of the equation, isn't it?
It's just not a podcast, a cigar podcast, without talking about some kind of male ejaculate.
Right? You gotta bring in the ejaculate.
Oh.
You gotta throw that in.
Secretions.
Skin cells. Michael Rosales and Roma Crab says skin cells.
Almost, Mike.
And Brandon says brain cells.
Almost, Brandon. Well, they have most of it. Right.
Skin cells, brain cells. What are we just talking cells?
Cells in
just
our body.
Cells in general.
So around 50 billion cells in a day die and regenerate. Isn't that crazy?
It's a tragedy.
It is a tragedy. I think we needed to start a hashtag. Save the cells.
Save the
hashtag
cells.
Save the cells. Yeah, that's 50. Wait, but they regenerate?
Yeah.
Well, then
So
I have no.
between blood cells,
if they regenerate,
sperm,
I don't have any sympathy for them.
Skin, brain cells, the amount of cells that die off and regenerate is insane. And in the same article talked about there are 2 animals that do not die from old age. This is a bonus round. Anybody?
2 animals that don't die from old age?
Correct.
2 animals that don't die from old age.
I mean, I go back to squirrels and the death of the electricity.
Yeah, they seem like they have more than 9 lives.
Part of me wants to say a seahorse.
You're in the right environment.
Lobsters?
Not lobsters.
What's going on with the live commenter?
Oh, yeah. Deer?
Yeah,
Nope.
Mike thinks lobsters too.
Nope.
It's not deer. So it's in the ocean.
It is in the ocean.
Sharks?
For one of them. Nope.
Is it the big animals, the small animal?
Well, these things can get huge, but they
Jellyfish?
Yes.
Jelly. Nice.
It is jellyfish.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Da, da, da. Thank you.
The other one is a roundworm parasite.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would never gotten roundworm parasite.
No. So some more useless facts for you guys.
Fantastic.
Nice.
I'd like to see a jellyfish kind of rolled into a cigar. That'd be amazing. Some kind of pairing or some sort. That'd be fantastic.
I'll work on that.
Yeah.
Not the parasite though. It doesn't sound pleasant.
Well, it's a roundworm. Nope.
Just wouldn't taste right.
Mm-mm.
It's got a really hard
Well,
draw.
what would you pair that with a bang, though?
Doesn't draw.
Well, I mean, apparently black cherry vanilla is all the craze.
Yeah, everybody's loving the black cherry vanilla.
Black cherry vanilla with a little jellyfish.
Try the confetti cake. It's amazing. I highly recommend it.
I'm getting his sponsorship back.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I'll pay for my bang. Don't worry. As we all should pay for our bang.
I'll pay for my bang.
We all pay. Make no mistake. Cotton candy is the shit. That's my top.
I gotta try these because I don't like energy drinks, and it's not because of the flavor. It's because the few times in my life that I've had an energy drink, I feel like my arms aren't connected to my body. I get really affected by like the whatever it is they put in them
and the guarana.
I just get, but I've heard that the Bang doesn't have that in there.
I mean, for that kind of feeling, I don't know why you're not drinking it every day. I mean,
mainlining it
for $2.50. I can't feel my arms. Sign me up.
Well, I might have sprinkled some on this Postania before I lit it up.
There you go.
Do you know what Matt just did to me for a bang?
We'll talk about that off the air. This week's notable smokables, and Mike, we talk every week about some cool or interesting stuff that we smoked over the past week that we thought was interesting. One of the ones that I smoked this week, there was actually, no, I'm going to start with this one. I opened up the box of cigars that I got at the Nicaraguan Cigar Festival in January of 2018.
Right.
And I pulled out one of the Guaymaros.
Hey,
from that box, and I fired that up. When was that? Wednesday last week.
That cigar does not get enough attention.
And well, we actually we reviewed that one that was one of our earlier reviews on the website. And that box of cigars from Nicaraguan Cigar Festival obviously been sitting for a little while. And I finally cracked open that box and said, I guess I'll start smoking through these. And that Guaymaro is just, even after time just sitting and mellowing out, it's still got everything that it had in the beginning. It's got power and pepper and complexity and the whole bit. So
I totally agree. The Rothschild is amazing. You know,
the Rothschild I'm still looking to get my hands on, but it was like the Toro size, basically, somewhere roughly around 6x50 in that box, just because they had to make all those cigars a consistent size for that box. But really good cigar. Mm-hmm. Mike, can you think anything this past week you've smoked that you thought was interesting? Or
of course,
name it.
So the two this week that I thought I was super impressed with was the Tabernacle Havana Seed in a Lancero format.
Oh, Lancero, nice.
And the new Mi Querida Tricky Traca, the 648, is better than the Robusto or the Rothschild. I don't give a shit what anybody says. It's a better cigar. So those two cigars were awesome. You know, what I'm really excited about is the Neanderthal LH that's coming out soon.
Oh, yeah.
That thing is fucking stupid good. So when that drops, I suggest that you buy as many as you can.
There's a lot of people excited about that one, myself included. Garrett, what was something you had this week that was interesting?
I bought a handful of Papas Fritas for.
God, I haven't smoked one of those in years, forever.
Dude, I know, I hadn't either. And I tell you what, I spent probably 6 hours out on a boat fishing.
Oh, nice.
Over this last weekend. And
God, I'm jealous.
Well, I only got one nibble.
What was his name?
Yeah, we'll talk about that off the air too.
Matt.
Heyo.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I went through all of those Papas Fritas, and that is just a fantastic little stick. So it's like a little firecracker.
Well, it's a good cheap cigar, because if you're fishing and it falls in the water, it's
so
like,
what?
Okay,
yeah, exactly right.
I guess I'll light up another one.
And and a couple of Tatuaje peas, and so my weekend and this whole last week has kind of been cheaper cigars, but they were all great.
Nice. Just one other one for me, just because there was an event in town last week. At Ramsey Smoke Shop, they had a Black Label Trading Company event, and it was the first time I ever tried the porcelain, which is like their Connecticut wrapped, one of their Connecticut wrapped offerings. I had never tried it before, and it was a very good Connecticut cigar. I'm not super into Connecticut's, but I thought it was good. So that was my my other one from this week.
Didn't they just win a TV or something?
What's that?
Didn't they win a TV?
Yeah, they won a TV.
Yeah.
From
that brokerage or whatever.
Yeah. And they've already got it mounted on the wall in the shop, and it's nice. They needed a TV in there. It's a smaller shop, and hopefully one of these days they can expand and maybe get a different space. But they've definitely working on a good selection in the humidor there. And there's some other good stuff coming up here soon. Since we have Mike Rosales making some comments on the show. Mike, thanks very much for watching.
That's Bourbon Mike. Yeah, we call him Bourbon Mike.
I understand that you are going to be up here in Minnesota on September 26th. I'm looking forward to that. You're going to be at Tobacco Grove, which is maybe the largest. It's got to be the largest cigar retailer in the state of Minnesota. It's in Maple Grove. It's a beautiful retailer, fantastic selection, great bunch of people that work there. And from what I understand, Mike's going to be having a Romacraft event there on September 26th. I will be there, and I'm just excited just to hang out with everybody, and excited to see Mike again. I haven't seen Mike in a few years, since IPCPR a few years ago. So looking forward to that. And there's, for, as we kind of say all the time, if you guys are in the Minnesota area and you're on Facebook, get hooked up with Minnesota Herf Connection. It's a great cigar culture, great group of people. We have regular herfs. We just had one here at my house on Saturday. So, we get together for regular herfs and just hang out, talk about life, talk about cigars, talk about whatever.
Twister, you guys play Twister or no?
Well, it's sort of a form of Twister.
Yeah.
It's illegal in 46 states, but
good.
But that's kind of what we have going on now. We do have some more really awesome guests coming up in the future. I'm not going to confirm any dates just because we're still working on a few things. But one that I will just confirm, just because we've already said so. This is a reschedule. Next Tuesday, Jeff Borshowitz, Florida Sun-Grown Tobacco and Corona Cigar Company, is going to be on the show. And he had to reschedule because of a silly little hurricane that came through a couple weeks ago. So we're excited to have him on the show. And then we have some more guests scheduled all the way into early November. So we're excited for the people that we have coming on the show. And
you guys are so professional.
Oh, we're beyond professional. We're like full union. And no,
serious. I mean, but you have you got all this stuff kind of slotted for like the next 2.5 months. That's pretty impressive.
I'm just trying to stay on top of it and trying to get people scheduled, and it's more for me than for them, because I have so much else going on in my life. I'm like, if I don't schedule it way in advance, I'm going to forget.
Right.
So that's the way I have to do it, because otherwise it's going to fall off my radar quick. So Mike, for just to close things out, tell people where they can find out more about Postania, where they can find out more about Cigar Hustler, and what else you have going on.
So if you want to reach out to me, I'm available on Facebook as Mike Szczepankiewicz. I'm not going to tell you how to spell it. You can figure it out yourself. And at Cigar Hustler on Instagram is really the easiest way to get in touch with me. Or you can call a store, 386-574-3556. Good luck. We screen our calls, though, so you got to be really sneaky. Retail site, cigarhustler.com. I'm pretty easily accessible, so if you have any questions, just reach out. And as far as Postanias goes, there's a site that's neglected and that I don't take well enough care of, unfortunately. But it does exist. It's like postaniacigars.com. But you're better off just reaching out to me in person. You'll get an instant response. So
yeah. All right.
Awesome.
You got anything else, Garrett?
No, man, I'm just thankful that you joined us.
Yeah, 100%.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for your time, man. We really appreciate it, and I've loved seeing the success you guys have had over the years, and I look forward to seeing more from you guys. And I'll keep listening to the podcast because you guys make me laugh my ass off.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So for all of you guys listening on the audio podcast, thanks again. Whichever audio platform you're on, be sure to take 2 seconds and rate the podcast, like the podcast. If you're on Facebook, take a second to like the How About That Cigar page. Go on howaboutthatcigar.com and read the reviews and the articles that we have on there. And if you have any questions, you can email us directly from the website. If you have any questions or anything like that. And until we see you next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Thanks, guys. Take care.